We're here one more time on Optimal Play for the 5th out of 5 classes from the player card expansion for the Arkham Horror card game, Edge of the Earth. There's a lot of words to cover about what the heck this video even is. But I'm Brandon.
I'm Steven.
And Steven, happy holidays again.
Yep.
As we record this, probably weeks or months before it goes up on YouTube, but I decided to be festive anyway.
Yeah.
How's your season treating you?
Let's see. Pretty good. Got the tree up. A little bit later than you.
Yeah, I think everybody had it up a little later than us.
Yeah. But yeah, got the tree up. I haven't gotten an elf costume for my dog yet, but that would be maybe next step.
Man, how long have you been a dog owner? You still don't have one?
I just barely got him a Halloween costume in time for Halloween.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say that my dogs have elf costumes, but they do have an assortment of Christmas sweaters.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, they are festive as hell for the holiday parties and coming into the office this time of year and everything.
Nice.
I just went green head to toe. Just one color. That's all I need. Just apply it to hair, sweater, everything. And speaking of green,
yep.
We're talking rogue cards. I didn't plan that, but that worked. This is the 5th and final class that we're talking through from the Edge of the Earth box before. I haven't decided if we should do 1 or 2 videos for the multi-class cards because there's 40-something of them.
Yeah, probably more than one.
Yeah, so we're not that close to done, but we are almost done with the single color cards. Any thoughts or expectations on Rogue, or you want to dive in?
Ooh, Rogue. Let's see. So these are the XP cards, which so far they've been mostly XP. Are going to be for Bob.
Right. Who is the most exciting investigator in the box, in my opinion. So this will be cool.
So Bob's good at saving money, spending money for other people, but I guess I would hope that maybe some more cards to use money. I actually played one game with a Bob, and I felt like I had some extra money left over. It was a pretty low XP, so I'm kind of hoping that there's some rogue cards that help him sort of spend any extra money and stuff, turn that into value.
That's something that I've always that's a blanket statement that I've always felt like rogues are the big money. They're the big money makers, but what I've been surprised has never been an aspect of kind of their card pool is the 8-cost assets, right? Give me something splashy and big to spend that money on after I've used the cool rogue cards that earn it.
Yeah.
And it's never quite been there.
I mean, it's mostly just streetwise,
yeah.
That's their, I spend all my money on this card.
Right.
And it'd be nice to have an alternative.
Yeah, so I don't know that, we're 7 cycles in or whatever, and that's never quite been the design style of rogues. I don't necessarily expect that to change now, but it would be cool if it does.
Yeah.
I think you're holding on to the permanent card that each class gets one. Let's go.
All right, so this one is Underworld Support. Permanent, limit 1 per deck, purchase a deck creation. This one's illicit. Ooh. And a favor. Your deck cannot include more than 1 copy of each non-weakness, non-signature card by title, but reduce your deck size by 5.
Cool. So I love Highlander deck building.
Yeah.
I've played a lot of different card games. I love Commander and stuff in Magic the Gathering where you can only use 1 copy of each card. Hearthstone has a recurring mechanic where they have cards that do really splashy things if you have no duplicates in your deck.
Yeah.
So I love that it makes you build a less consistent deck, but reach deeper into the card pool as a result.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. I wish that payoff was more exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Shrink your deck by 5 cards. It's kind of just it's asking you to make your deck less consistent, and in return, you can have some of that consistency back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a little bit of a weird design to me.
Yeah, I think in some of the other games where I've seen this kind of mechanic, the benefit is more card draw or something like that, rather than also being a consistency-related mechanic. I will say, though, reduced by 5 doesn't sound like that much, but when you're starting with a 30-card deck, going down to 25 is pretty darn small. So
it is.
there may be some things where it's like, especially maybe there's like if you want to build around an exceptional card, which can only be one of anyway.
True.
Like maybe this is a good card.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's far from short supply. Maybe it was just short supply. A couple of these we felt like you should consider putting in your deck most or all of the time.
Yeah.
I don't think this is that.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike short supply or geared up, it doesn't just change the way the game starts. It literally affects the way you have to build your deck in the first place, which I guess is kind of well. The Seeker one increases the deck size, so I guess that's kind of similar. Yeah, I just wish it did something other than just shrink your deck size.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you play this and the Survivor one, you start with almost half your deck discarded.
Yeah, you sure do. And Bob could do that.
Bob could do that, so could Wendy.
I don't really know why that's any better than just playing short supply, but you're right. You sure can. It does make short supply a little bit more likely to hit your weaknesses. That's a thing. I don't know. We'll see whether any other rogue cards make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not really sure they will. I don't think we found that the other classes like cards really played into these per se.
But yeah, I mean, a really strong build around exceptional maybe makes it make more sense.
That would make sense, and I do think that there are some in there because we divided the cards into two piles, and there were only one copy of some of them. So let's keep moving and get there. The next one is not exceptional though. It's a level 0 event called Scout Ahead. It costs you 1. It's an insight and a trick. It says move up to 3 times. Enemies do not engage you during this movement. And we've got a Lovecraft quote here, which is always titillating. Viewless aura repelled me and bade me retreat from antique and sinister secrets that no man should see, and no man else had ever dared to see. Yeah, I find that the Lovecraft quotes never really work for me as well as the original text. Maxine, if you're watching this, put more of your writing and less of his writing on the cards. Thanks.
This is pretty strong though. Move.
Yeah, it is pretty strong. Move up to 3 times with enemies not engaging you. It's weird that it's not just like teleport to a location up to 3 moves distance away though.
If an enemy is currently engaged with you, they stay engaged because they don't engage you during the movement. But if they're currently, it doesn't say disengage.
True, but if this just said move to any location within 3, and it didn't specify the disengage, then that would still be true. Right, like elusive specifies that you disengage. I guess what this does is it triggers any effects of like locations when you move into them, but that's usually punishing. So I think that makes this card worse.
Yeah, maybe there'll be cards that benefit from it though.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess that's just kind of what I'm stuck on is like, why move up to 3 times instead of making it a teleport type effect? It just seems like that's all downside. But otherwise, this seems very good because not having to spend an entire turn triple moving is a great thing to avoid.
And no restrictions on revealed or unrevealed, which is nice.
True. Oh, yeah, which... Oh, okay. That is actually that maybe explains why this is like that, is it can let you get through several unrevealed locations without the game having to worry about you skipping over one that requires clues to enter or something. Right? So maybe, it's just not as prone to breaking as if it were a teleport. It seems very good, and when we're talking to level 0 rogue cards here, Monterey Jack is the rogue in the box who obviously gets rewarded every time he moves on his turn, so clearly a card for him. That's probably him in the art. Makes sense to me. Seems solid.
Yeah. Ooh. This is 21 or Bust, a 2-cost event, Fortune and Gambit. And it's obviously referencing Blackjack, which is one of my favorite games. 1 at a time, reveal random tokens from the Chaos Bag until you choose to stop. Treat each, I think this is all the non-autofail face tokens as a 5. The autofail is a 10, and the Elder Sign as either a 1 or an 11. That's complicated.
Yep.
If the combined value of those tokens, ignoring plus minus, is 18 or less, gain 4 resources. 19, gain 5, 20, gain 6, 21, gain 9.
Yeah, this card's cool. It is its own mini game where
Yep.
you use the chaos bag to play a little game that to play blackjack basically.
Yep.
This is a card that I've actually played with a little bit and played alongside a lot because I was playing a campaign with Kyle, and this is like his new favorite card in the game. I have found that it generally does get, like, usually you can get 5 or more resources out of it. That said, though, gaining 5 resources at the cost of 2 is like still worse than emergency cash.
Yeah.
And it carries the risk of you going bust. The only way you get nothing is if you go bust. So as long as you play conservatively, you can guarantee that you are going to make money, and it will be better than a basic resource action at least. It is amazing when you hit 20 or especially 21 and get that big boost in resources, but the consistency at which you do that is not high. So I think of this as more of a card that you put in your deck because it is fun as hell and not because it is the best way rogues have to get resources. Is this the first time you've seen this?
This is the first time I've seen this, I think. I will just put it in my deck because I like blackjack.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's a super fun card that more often than not is fine. Is not you sinking your strategy just to play with it. It's just that it's also not like ridiculously powerful either. I will also say I don't recommend putting this in a deck with if your team is using a lot of blesses and curses, because those do nothing, and you find, like, I've played 21 or bust and drawn like 15 tokens out of the bag because all the blesses and curses, you just do nothing and you keep drawing.
But that doesn't hurt you, right?
No, it doesn't. It's just annoying. It just, you end up with just tokens all over the table in front of you. It's a silly card, but I do love its design.
Yep.
Next up is, okay, we're already, after 3 cards again, we're up to the leveled up cards. So now we're talking Bob that has access to these in the edge box. Starting with Counter Espionage, a level 1, 2 resource cost rogue event. It's a favor and a service. It's fast. Play when you draw a non-weakness treachery. Cancel that card's revelation effect and draw the top card of the encounter deck. But when you play it, you can increase its cost by 2 to change the encounter deck to your deck. And you can also increase its cost by 2 to change you to any investigator. Has Rogue had treachery cancellation yet? Is this the first?
They normally just give other people their treachery.
Yeah, that's right. That's how they've canceled them before. Yeah. It's like, you handle this one.
Yeah.
This card seems pretty damn good to me. It's interesting. Well, I mean, I guess it costs a lot. I know the ethos, the design philosophy around cancels has always been like there should be a downside, right? Yeah. The cost should be substantial because otherwise you get into what happened to Lord of the Rings, where canceling treacheries becomes like auto-include, but then the scenarios need to make like uncancelable treacheries to so that they're not just trivialized. This is one of the like, the only downside here is it costs 4 resources to cancel and not draw another treachery, right? Which is, for a rogue, I mean, that's a lot of resources for anyone, but that's not that big a downside.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed, first of all, it's spy theme, but I don't specifically see any Triss synergy, which I was sort of waiting for, like, the something about having an enemy on your location or something.
Yeah, it's like a gloved agent holding this top secret folder, and it's called Counter Espionage.
Yeah.
You're right. Nothing about its mechanics says Trish.
Probably best in Preston or any other kind of like really rich rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob can get rich, I think.
Does Preston have access to his family inheritance money during the Mythos phase? Or does it come and go during the Investigator phase? It's been a little while since I've played with Preston.
I can't remember exactly. I think he might have access if he doesn't spend it during his turn.
Yeah. I feel like if he can't spend those resources during the Mythos phase, then this is pretty rough for him.
But there are some Prestons that take a lot of money off of it.
That's true.
To get to big money.
Yeah, big money Preston is actually my preferred way to play him. So I guess that's a self-defeating argument. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think well worth an experience, especially if you don't have like a Mystic running several other cancels.
Yep.
Cool.
Next is Cheat the System. This is a 0 cost 1 XP event. Trick and Synergy. Fast, play during any fast window. Gain 1 resource for each different class among cards you control.
If you weren't supposed to do it, it wouldn't be illegal. Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. I guess that makes sense. It's another synergy card. I have found none of these particularly exciting. Do you think this one's exciting?
Because it's fast, it really only has to get you 2 resources to be...
Well, it costs an experience, though, so you'd expect it to be better than that.
Yeah, so maybe 3. Yeah, I mean, I think... depends on how many classes. I think, yeah, if you're playing 3 classes, it's fine. I think someone told me, or like a podcast said that your investigator card also counts as a different class. Have you?
Yeah, I did just learn that. You're right. So if this was the very first card you played, you would get a resource, which in theory, there might be starting turns of the game where you want to
But
do
also that means that if you're like a 2-class investigator, then you can get to 3 pretty easily, right? Because your investigator counts as a 3rd one, or does it count?
No, it counts as its class.
Okay.
It's not some 6th class.
I was thinking like the signatures are sort of like their own thing.
No, it is a card you control, and so if Bob plays Cheat the System, he already has a red card in play because he is a red card. Yeah, Synergy has kind of underwhelmed me, and I don't think this is any exception. I was talking on our Seeker video about how many of them have the problem of being bad in the early game before you've built up a tableau, and when you want econ cards like this to work is the early game.
Yeah.
So to me, that's probably a deal breaker. I think Faustian Bargain is just a better card than this and doesn't cost you experience.
True.
It's not fast, but it gives you consistently 5 resources at 2 curses in the bag is not that bad.
And the flexibility to share it with people is super useful.
True. So yeah, I don't see myself playing Cheat the System, but oh well. Maybe though I would play Untimely Transaction. It's another 0 cost level 1 rogue event. It's a favor. Reveal an item asset in your hand. Another investigator at your location may play that asset as if it were in their hand. If they do, draw 1 card and gain resources equal to that asset's printed cost. Really? You're going to haggle with me now? Okay, this is cool. You sell an item to another player and literally get that money.
Yep.
Which isn't all upside because that means as a team you haven't spent that money.
Yep.
I love it. Do you like it?
Yeah, no, this seems great. I think Bob, I think he gets 1 free action to play an item, but like maybe you have 2 items or something, so you play this on the other one.
Yeah, and you can't Bob cannot play like his items under other players' controls unless he has his signature, his shrewd analysis, not shrewd analysis, shrewd dealing, which now that I've played a campaign alongside Bob, played by Kyle, is not as consistent as I kind of thought when we were evaluating Bob himself. Like it was the minority of the time, the minority of games that he got that into play early on and really made that a thing that we were playing each other's items. So this is another way to, if you're putting a card in Bob's deck because you want it to go to the other player and that's why it's there, this is another way to do that, which I think is really valuable if you're doing that. What I love about Bob is that it opened up that you can put all these cards in your deck that other people can then use during the game. So I'm glad that this exists.
And I think this is, I mean, I could see this in a lot of other rogues too. Like, here's a good example. Any rogue, if you're playing like alongside a Rita, like it'd be cool to give her like a lockpicks.
Sure. Yeah. That's a great example. I was actually trying to think of an example myself, and lockpicks was also what I thought of. Monterey Jack can pack a gun for the Guardian or something, so that if the Guardian doesn't draw theirs or runs out of ammo, they just buy one.
Well, Monterey Jack can't play this actually.
Valid. Monterey Jack cannot play a timely transaction. Okay, well let's say Trish then, or I don't know, other rogues. I think it's super flexible, and then the upside of that item not costing the team resources seems very good. On top of all that, you draw a card.
Yep.
Solid. Love it.
All right. Next is Savant. This is a 1 XP skill card, innate and developed. It gains wild icons equal to your lowest skill other than the skill being tested.
flavor text. Gotta read the flavor text.
This is 50% luck, 100% skill.
So this is I just skipped ahead in the pile to double check. Every class has had that like gain icons equal to another one of your skills card. This is the rogue one. It's actually not conforming to the structure of the others. I am not sure that it's any better than those. But but it at least, well, what I just noticed is it has a wild icon to begin with.
Oh, interesting.
And then it gains them equal to
So it's a
lowest
guaranteed 4 wilds in Jenny. This is pretty cool.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, which seems worth an experience point. Most rogues have low willpower, so that's probably going to be your low skill if you're running this card, and this just because, like, if your lowest skill is a 1, this is bad. This is unexpected courage, right? Which is not that unexpected courage is bad, but you don't want to spend experience on it. If your lowest skill is 2, this is okay. I do think you want this to be 3, either because you are playing Jenny or you're playing an ally that is buffing your lowest skill, which is not something you usually do, but you could.
Well, it's also lowest other than the skill being tested. So, like, if you have bad will, but it's a will treachery, you play this and maybe it's okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, if you have a 1 in will, then your other skills are generally pretty high, right? Because most investigators have I think 12 value worth of skill. That's a good point. So this is a skill card that you put into your lowest skill to get the best value. I think like the others, I'm not super sold on this being a great card. I do like that it surprised us. It broke away from the design of all the others. Level 2 event is Money Talks. This costs 0. I'm just getting all the... Is this an econ card? There have been a lot of econ cards in here.
No, this is an upgraded version of a Circle Undone card.
Oh, I forgot. I didn't even recognize it. This is fast. Play when an investigator at any location initiates a skill test. Instead of the skill type indicated for this test, this is a resource skill test. The performing investigator's base skill for this test is equal to half the number of resources in your resource pool rounded down. Draw 1 card. The big difference between this and the old version is that you can use your money to boost other people's skill tests with this, right?
Yep. And then you also draw a card is the other difference.
And also, I feel like your base value was less generous on the older version, but
can't remember.
Like it was 1 for every 4 resources you have or something. I could be wrong on that. I don't know if I would spend 2 experience on this.
The fact that it's any location is pretty cool. Like, it's almost a cancel because, someone draws a really bad will or agility treachery or something.
Yeah.
You play this, and if you're rich, pass it, draw a card.
Yeah, it's just it's just fairly niche because it needs to be an important enough skill test to like spend a card on, and then you have to have enough money at the time, right? Like,
well, yeah, but I mean, you only play this in decks that are sitting 20 plus,
right? Yeah, I guess it's fine. It replaces itself, so it's it costs you literally nothing. It doesn't even cost you a card to play.
Yeah.
It just costs you the experience that you spent on it. Okay, it's probably good. I guess I just never found the like sitting on your pile of your money, not even playing fun expensive events with it to not be that fun or effective of
I think
a
it's
play
pretty
style.
good. I mean, I think you only put this in a deck that had the original Money Talk. So it's like, is it worth 2 XP to be able to play it on anyone?
Yeah.
And draw a card? Well, if your teammates are getting hosed by treacheries and stuff, probably.
Yeah, I guess it's like when I've played. Shoot, what is the talent that gives you like +1 for every 5 and then upgrade 4? Is it well prepared?
Well connected.
Well connected. Thank you. Even when I've played rogues and played that and done the big money thing, I didn't play Money Talks because I didn't think it was a very good card. So I guess maybe I'm. And obviously a different version of a card could be great. So maybe I'm just kind of like, it has baggage in my mind from that, but I'm just having trouble seeing myself spending my experience on it. I don't know. You'll just have to show me how it's done sometime. Next time you play Preston, I know you love
I love Preston. Next up is Black Market, a 1-cost 2 XP event. It's a favor. Fast. Play at the start of your investigation phase of the investigation phase, not yours.
Yeah.
One at a time, reveal cards from the top of any investigator's decks until exactly 5 cards have been revealed. Set those cards aside out of play. While set aside, any investigator may play any of those cards as if they were in their hand. At the start of the next investigation phase, shuffle each of those cards still set aside into its owner's deck.
Yeah, so this is a card that I've actually played with a decent amount at this point. Have you?
I've seen it played once.
Okay. It has huge upside.
Yeah.
It can be pretty close to saying like investigators draw 5 cards, right? Like it can be pretty close to that, but it can also super whiff. This doesn't have any way for you to utilize any skill cards that come up from those 5 draws. Weaknesses obviously are whiffs on this. So we've definitely played this and been like, well, that was a bummer.
But like probably in a group of 3 or 4, there's probably a character that doesn't have many skill cards that you can pick for this, right?
True. Yeah, and I guess I can't say that I have particularly like built around Black Market before. So you're right. If you're running Black Market, run fewer skill cards or choose the players' decks that have the fewest skill cards. I don't know. To me, what it's been though is you, when someone says, should I play Black Market? You look around and be like, oh, Daniela doesn't have a weapon and could really use a weapon. So yes, let's play it and dig into Daniela's deck and try to help her find it. You kind of pick a singular purpose and you choose based on that.
The way that I heard this described was this is something that you hope to get turn 1 so that the person who has the Guardian permanent where they get to play unlimited items has like more items to choose from.
One time I was playing Geared Up. That's the card you're thinking of. I was playing Geared Up in Daniela, which I think I really undervalued when we talked about Guardian. That card is pretty good if you have a lot of items in your deck. We had that happen just once where we had a Black Market available for the Geared Up turn and hit a decent amount of items, and yeah, it was amazing. Especially if you get like a Schaffner's catalog to pay for all of them. You could set up some ridiculous starts that way.
And I think, you know what? You should always put a card in your deck so that the combo comes off once in your campaign, you know?
You're not wrong. I don't disagree. Yeah. And Arkham is a game that has some ridiculous occasional highs that tend to be the most memorable, my favorite moments, and this is one of those cards that can allow those. So I love it for that.
Yeah. Great art too. Very sleazy.
Yeah, I said this I think when this got played on a stream. The character in the art looks like a ventriloquist dummy to me. It reminds me of like the Goosebumps books, Night of the Living Dummy. kind of thing. I don't know, something about it. I can't get away from feeling like this is a puppet, and it's just the art style because I don't think it's supposed to be a puppet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was looking for it. He's got all sorts of weird like wares behind him. I was trying to see if any of them are actually recognizable as something from a campaign or anything. Not really.
There's some skulls.
Some skulls, some eyeballs, and like a Spartan helmet.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It doesn't look like these are meant to be references to anything specific.
Yeah.
I agree though. It's cool art. Next up, I've lost track of who's reading.
I think it's you.
Okay. Moxie. It is the rogue level 3 composure. So it costs 0 resources. It's a talent and a composure. It's fast, but limit 1 in play. You get +1 willpower, +1 agility. Non-direct damage and horror must be assigned to Moxie before it can be assigned to your investigator card, and then you can spend 1 resource to boost your willpower or agility by 1 for that skill test. I don't know that at this point I have anything else to say about these composures other than I think they're very consistently very strong.
I mean, the one difference with this one to me is that a lot of rogues have terrible willpower. And this is a card that like you actually have the choice now of like, at worst, you're at 2 willpower with this.
True.
And if you've got a few dollars, you can now choose to try to pass will tests. So like,
yeah, you draw bad
that's
treachery.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's actually kind of being able to spend resources to boost your willpower as a rogue is kind of similar to being able to spend 4 resources to cancel a treachery card
Yeah.
with the card with counter espionage,
Yeah,
right?
that's about how much it'll take to pass it.
But it's on an asset where you can do it a few times
Yep.
if you manage to not have to put any horror on it and lose it from play.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think all these composures are great and should be a high consideration once you've got big chunks of experience. Cool. We're up to there's a few like exceptional cards.
Yeah.
And you've got the first one?
Yeah, so the first one, Red Clock, broken but reliable. This is 2 cost, 2 XP. It's an item and a relic. It's exceptional and it uses 0 charges. Forced, after a turn begins, either place 1 charge here or take all charges here as resources. Then, if it has exactly 1 charge, you get +3 skill value for your next skill test. 2 charges, you may move up to 2 times. And 3 charges, you may take an additional action this turn. So they're all good.
They are all good. So this is another card that Kyle played in his Bob deck.
Yeah.
And it was bonkers good.
Mm-hmm.
It got extremely good. Slight spoiler, there's a higher level one that we'll read next. I kind of look at this one as like a stepping stone to it, which is really nice when you have a level 5 exceptional card to have an intermediate step so you don't have to spend or save up 10 experience.
Yeah.
But even that was fine. Like the turns where you get +3, it's +3, right? To a skill test.
Yeah.
It means you're probably gonna get a clue or evade that enemy that you need to that round.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like basically it's like 1 turn you get +3 skill. 1 turn you move twice. 1 turn you get an additional action, and then the next turn you get 3 resources, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you're basically rotating between those 4 things.
Yeah. And so this almost, it's 3 resources every 4 turns, but this almost is like Jenny's ability. Like it's almost doubling your resource income.
Yeah.
And when we look at in fact, can we just look at the higher level one?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about them both. So level 5, the Red Clock, broken but reliable. It still costs 2 resources.
It's still broken but reliable?
It's still broken but reliable.
I was hoping for a different subtitle.
It was like, you got it fixed. It's exceptional. So this is a 10 experience card, but boy, is it good.
Oh yeah, this one is also exceptional.
Yeah, I think we covered that.
Yeah.
But so this one says after your turn begins, you may take all charges here as resources. Place 1 charge here. So it's not or place 1 charge here.
Yeah.
It's both. And then if it has exactly, and then these 3 bullet points are basically all 1 better. 1 charge, you get +4 skill value for your next skill test. 2 charges, you may move up to 3 times. 3 charges, you may take 2 additional actions this turn. So this is where it gets really good because you are getting full Jenny value here.
Yeah.
It is, no matter when you decide to clear it and start over, you are getting an extra resource every turn after you play this. And then these are just all so good.
Yeah.
Probably the worst of these, the most, or at least the most situational, as you may move up to 3 times. But we had times where Bob was basically just every turn taking the resource off and putting it back on to get +4 to his first skill test of every turn, and that's nuts. That's so good.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to move, you just take the resource. So
yeah, we found, I think that was pretty common that he kind of got into that cycle, so he didn't get up to the like 2 additional actions all that much, but sometimes he did. And regardless, it was double your income, free resource every turn, plus plus 1 of these very strong effects every turn.
So this
is so good.
That's the kind of card that I would consider taking Underworld Support, because imagine, so if your deck gets down to 25 cards, you see 5 cards, you mulligan, so you sort of see 10 cards.
Yep.
And then you black market, so you see another 5 cards. So like basically, if you're playing a 25 card deck, you have like more than a 50% chance of like seeing this like turn 1, like assuming that you mulligan for either this or black market.
I think you're on to something there about that being the biggest reason to play Underworld Support is to make your exceptional cards easier to find. Because you invested a lot of experience into them, you want to make sure you draw them.
I guess it does mean you can only play 1 black market is the downside, but
well, that's true. But the exceptional cards themselves are not hindered by that requirement. So yeah, I think this card is insanely good, and despite its steep cost, well worth it in my experience. And I don't know what else to say other than play the red clock, start with that one, but upgrade. Like it's worth it. The difference in getting that resource every turn and being able to take the resources from it and use its ability every turn. It's
I do. I really appreciate that they put the lower level one here, because like it is kind of like, let's say you are putting in Underworld Support and building your whole deck towards eventually having that. It's kind of lame if you build your whole deck towards a card that you don't get to like scenario 5.
Right.
So like it's nice that you can get the other red clock in like scenario 2 or 3.
Yeah, completely agreed. It's a welcome stepping stone. I don't know that I have much else to say about it other than I think it's one of the more powerful cards.
Yeah.
Probably the most powerful card in the Edge box, having not looked at multi-class cards yet.
Oh, I think one thing we didn't mention, it is a relic slot. So
or the accessory slot.
Or accessory slot. So if you're going for a time tribal with red clock and pocket watch, you're going to have to take Relic Hunter.
Yeah, and Kyle on Bob did play Relic Hunter so that he could play Lucky Cigarette Case too, because he was doing lots of investigating and passing those skill tests. I mean, those two combined really well. When you're getting +4 to a skill test, you're passing by 6 some of the time, and then triggering Lucky Cigarette Case to find whatever the heck you want from your deck. It's really good.
And then the other time card that lets you save actions, is that an arcane slot?
I don't know.
Borrowed time.
Oh, right. Yeah. I am blanking on what that even does. Oh, that's one that you can like put resources onto it as actions. Clicks. You put clicks onto it and save them for future turns. That'd be fun. I want to, and that was so much fun the time I played it with haste, because then you could bank those actions and get extra actions for doing so.
And I'm pretty sure that if you play red clock and pocket watch and borrowed time and haste, you are a Time Lord.
Yeah. So what investigator would you play that in?
Who's the most Time Lordy investigator?
I mean, it's got to be a rogue, right?
Yeah, it has to be a rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, Monterey Jack's an explorer. Although no, he can't play these.
Oh, true. Bob can play them, but I don't know if Bob's got Time Lord upside.
Maybe Winifred's a Time Lord.
I could see it. Yeah, she's already a pilot. She already travels. Okay, all right. Time Lord Winnie coming soon to a to an optimal play stream near you. Now I want to do that. There is another exceptional card to round out this set of cards. It's the Black Fan, Symbol of Power. So unlike the Red Clock, I have not seen this one yet. It is a 3-cost, level 3 rogue asset, which is exceptional. So that means it costs 6 experience points. Let's see if it's worth it. It takes a hand slot. It's an item and a relic, and it says, while you have 10 plus resources, you get +1 health, +1 sanity. 15 plus resources, you may take an additional action during your turn. And 20 or more resources, you get +1 to each of your skills.
Oh.
So, wow, okay. The Red Clock is very versatile. Like, it's kind of good all the time. This is very specific to what kind of deck you'd put it in.
I like how it's reverse Dark Horse. Like, it's 20 plus instead of 0.
Yeah. It reminds me of, is it Celiano Fragments? What's the card that rewards you for cards in your hand, right?
Exactly.
It costs a few more experience on that.
So wait, the middle one is an action. Okay, so that's really cool.
So you'd obviously play this with Well-Connected, Money Talks. So there's a small handful of other cards that reward you for sitting on a pile of wealth. There's not a lot of them.
Mostly those two. Dario Elamine likes 10 plus resources.
Oh, right.
He's not super strong.
No, but it's probably worth considering if you're building a deck around the Black Fan. Yeah. So +1 health, +1 sanity, 1 additional action each turn, and +1 to each of your skills if you're sitting on 20 resources. It's just, the weird thing about those decks, So I think that the best way to play those decks is, like, you want to spend your money by the end of the game, right? Like, you run a few of the, like, favor sort of service events and pay 4 or 6 for, like, the big splashy effects. right? Like to get the most out of that strategy. And then it's a really hard decision. I think it takes some skill and some guesswork to decide when to do that, right? When do you give up this extra action to start playing those strong, expensive cards? I haven't mastered that.
Yeah.
I feel like I always am either I've either blown through my money and I'm like, well, shoot, there's 4 rounds of the game left and now I have nothing. Now I can't accomplish anything, or I end with too much money and I feel like I wasted potential. So I would appreciate any tips for this playstyle that anyone wants to leave in the comments.
Yeah, I do like that the health and sanity is the lowest one. So at least if you are almost dead, you can go down to 10 and not die. But that you'll have to consider that your baseline now.
Oh, that's funny. Once you're redlining, once you have 1 health or 1 sanity left, you could die by losing
Spending
money.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that. You're right. And honestly, that bonus isn't even useful unless you hit that at some point during the game.
Yeah.
Right? If you never get to 1 remaining health or 1 remaining sanity, then that text didn't technically do anything.
Unless it let you, I mean, it's possible you could be healed or something and then you're allowed to go back under 10.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so this does thwart what I was talking about a little bit, about how in the last couple rounds of the game you want to blow through that money. Weird card. I think it's cool, and it definitely makes me want to play someone with big money.
Yep. It is a hand slot, but I feel like the big money investigators don't care that much about hand slots because they're not that effective with like Fire Axe or Mariner's Compass like the Dark Horse Prestons are.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, what did you think of Rogue?
I really like those red clocks. I think that's what and that's probably what I'm most excited about. But you know, and I loved the theme of 21 or Bust.
21 or Bust is just such a like flavor win and just such a fun card. I love, so it's I guess it's black market and untimely transaction, but I love this set of cards, or I love those cards for the same reason I love Bob, that potential to play cards for each other and the combinations of assets that unlocks. Super exciting.
And I think counter espionage is strong. I haven't decided how I feel about the like flavor expansion of rogues having cancels. Like, part of me wonders like, oh, are we going to be like, that's kind of a bummer that they expanded cancel to rogue, or are we going to be like, it's fine.
It's always, I mean, the core set only Mystics could do it, but pretty quickly Seeker and Survivor both could.
But only Survivor really does it regularly outside of Mystic.
That's true. Well, because Seeker has canceled, but they're just bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So, I don't know. I am a person who sits here and rants when the like color pie to steal the Magic's lingo for that, when that gets bled too much. But I've never felt that Treachery Cancel was all that like precious, and so I guess it doesn't upset me.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. When we get to the point where everyone's canceling everything, I will eat these words. But no, I'm not mad about counter espionage, I guess. All right. Well, that wraps up the non-gold cards.
Yep.
Wait, have we done the?
Nope.
We haven't done the neutral cards either. Well,
Are there? Yeah.
those in
If
at
there
some
are
point.
any neutrals.
Oh, there are neutrals.
Okay.
They're I've seen them. They're pretty cool. If you like dogs. We're dog people.
Yes, we are.
We'll have fun with the neutrals. And even basic weaknesses. Man, we have. Oh god, this is such a big box. All right. Well, thank you, Stephen, for getting through a little bit more of it with me.
Yep.
Thank you for watching, and we'll be back. I don't know how many more times, but there's a lot more Edge of the Earth to go. We'll be back to talk through it soon. Till then, be optimal.